Every actor out there has at least one bad habit that they need to overcome and break. In this video, we're going to talk about some very common bad habits that actors have and how you can overcome or break those bad habits yourself. I know my setup is kind of boring today. I'm just trying to bust out some videos because I got a full-time job now and it's really hard for me to find the time. So I hope you forgive my lack of production quality here. There are so many actors out there that have weird little tics and bad habits and things that they don't know what to do. A lot of them come out of discomfort. You know, it's out of nerves and nervousness that these habits manifest. Most of the time, we don't even know that we're doing these habits until a teacher or a director points them out to us. Or we see the bad habit manifesting on the screen. Like if you do a film and you see yourself and you're like, oh God, why did I do that? Let me tell you about a couple of my bad habits. One is I tend to lick my lips. I was working on one film and the director said, you know, we had a hard time editing this film because every time you had a good line, you would lick your lips, and we let a few slip by, but there were so many lip lickings that we had to chop around that it was just really frustrating. I still lick my lips to this day. It's one of those habits that just slips in and I don't even know why I'm doing it. This happens, I think, when I am trying to remember the next line. I just get dry too. Sometimes I need to swallow and I need to lick my lips, and so I do that a lot. And so it's kind of a technical thing that I need to do, you know, and it's really hard to break that habit. But just being aware again, you know, when I say the end of the line, stay in the moment. I don't need to swallow and just say the next line. Another bad habit I used to have is putting my hands in my pockets. I was doing a show and out of discomfort, I'm always on stage, I would put my hands in my pocket. It was kind of the go-to place. And the director said, you know what? I'm gonna have the costume designer sew your pockets shut. And he didn't give me the option to put my hands in my pockets. So I had to find other things to do with my arms. Now the arms are, you know, I did a whole video a while back about arms and what to do with them. But, you know, my advice on that, if you're awkward with your arms, is to make decisions on each line where you want to put your arms and just treat it like choreography. It might seem a little stiff at first and you don't have to stick to it 100%. But, you know, one shot, I'm going to put my hands on my hips for this. I'm going to drop my arms here. I'm going to play with this prop. I'm going to give myself some business to do in the scene so that I don't feel awkward about my arms. And another habit I had to break was laughing at the end of every line. Even in a serious drama, I had a tendency to smile and laugh after every line. And that kind of came out of nervousness. This was the habit I broke early on in school. I was in an acting class and I had a teacher say, you know, you have a tendency to laugh after every single line. And I don't know if I can even mimic it now, but like the line is like, hey, I killed your father. Is that laugh out of kind of a nervousness or being unsure of yourself and not being in character. All it took was for the teacher to point that out to me, and then I realized, oh boy, I do that a lot. And so that was a pretty easy habit to break. I just had to be aware that I was doing it. I still kind of tend to smile, and this is a common one that I've heard other actors talk about is smiling and laughing after a line. So it's really just about being aware that you're doing it, and then you can kind of focus on that. It's that awareness. Every single time you start a scene, every single time you walk out on stage or go to a rehearsal, you have to remind yourself, don't lick your lips, don't put your hands in your pockets, don't smile, don't laugh, and you will start to overcome it. All right, so I asked this question in the Augmented Actor Facebook group. You can see the link up here. I encourage you to join that group, by the way. We have like daily discussions and questions on acting related subjects, and I get a lot of information from watching those comments. One of the big things that a lot of actors said was that they talk too fast, that they had to learn how to slow down. This is very a weird one, because if you're in theater, often the director is saying, hey, we need to pick up the pace, you need to get on top of your cues, you need to cut out all the dramatic pauses, you need to earn your pauses, or we need to shave 15 minutes off the show. You often hear that. So there's this pressure to speed things up. But I think that you can speed things up by taking the air out of the lines. There are actors that have dramatic pauses after every single line. They think in between the lines rather than on the line itself. Or when you're listening to another actor say their line, you're waiting until they're finished before you think and react to it, and then you're spitting out the next line. So what you need to do is think while they are saying their line, and then be ready to jump on the line. So there you're cutting up those little pauses and those little suctions of air by thinking on the line and not in between the lines. But when you're saying your lines, you need to be in character. You need to say them at the pace that your character would naturally say them. Otherwise, it comes off as rushing or speeding through things. And that's what directors don't want. So when you're acting, when you're actually saying the line, it's okay to slow things down a little bit. It's okay to take a little breath in between your lines to get them out. And it's okay to really slow things down. You have to be aware of that. It's picking up the cues that is where you find your speed, and not the way you deliver your lines. Another bad habit is blinking. Blinking on camera especially, but it happens a lot when you have bright lights on you, or when you're suddenly in the moment. It's a nervous habit and people will blink rapidly. So some people, it's a mental tic that they carry with them, and they have blinky eyes all the time. And that's going to be a tough one to break for actors. Again, it's about awareness. It's about the fact that you are doing it, and knowing that you can say, let's focus. So if you have the habit of blinking, what you want to do, first of all, if it's about the lights, you want to make sure that you get your eyes accustomed to the bright lights. So stare at the bright lights for a while and really focus on looking at them. And then just practice your lines looking with your eyes open. And the best thing you can do in any of these bad habits, by the way, is to film yourself doing your lines. Don't rehearse in the mirror, because the mirror lies and it doesn't show you your bad habits. Especially if you're blinking or looking away, that's going to be showing, you're going to see that on camera, but not by looking in a mirror. So always film yourself when you're practicing your monologues, your scenes and whatnot, and then you'll see all the little tics, the bad habits that show up, and you'll learn how to correct them. Other actors have another problem with their eyes, in that they just have a real hard time looking somebody else in the eyes directly. So they always kind of avert their gaze like this. So if you're the other actor and I'm talking to you, I kind of look off to the side like this because I don't want to look you directly in the eyes. Now, I don't know whether they feel that they're going to break up, or that they can't concentrate by looking at somebody, or that they're going to get lost in their soul or something like that. I think a lot of those actors avert their eyes like that because they have, this sort of just aversion, a social aversion. And it could be because maybe they're slightly on the spectrum, or maybe it's just, an awkwardness looking people in the eyes. What I would encourage you to do in that situation is to not look at the actor in the eye. If it bugs you to look at another actor in the eyes, look at the spot between their eyes. Look at their nose. Look at their forehead. But look toward them, not away from them. And just concentrate on that spot. And this will help you even if you're comfortable looking at another actor in their eyes, because sometimes you have to look off camera and you have to pretend like you're looking at an actor in their eyes, but you need to pick a point to stare at because that actor is not there. They're maybe slightly off to the side reading their lines for you, and you're just doing it for sight lines. So picking a spot and being able to direct your acting as if you're looking at the actor in their eyes is key. Other actors have problems with staying still. They sway on stage. They shift their weight back and forth. And it's a big habit that actors have. And it gets really, really annoying. Again, this is about nerves and it's about awareness. In that case, you want to plant your feet, and you want to concentrate about planting your feet and not moving your feet at all unless you're moving to a new location. And then you plant your feet again. And if you have a wishy-washy character, you can lean, but stay in that lean, or, consciously decide when you're going to shift back and forth. You have to focus on it. You have to give your attention to your bad habit in order to break it. Another one that actors have is inflections. So especially at the end of a line. Some actors have the problem of letting their energy fizzle out by the end of the line. Either they don't breathe in the middle of the line and then the line fizzles out like this, or they just take their inflections down and they kind of lose energy at the end of a line. So that's a big problem. I've had that problem too. Another way that actors inflect is by inflecting up, like they're asking a question at the end of every line. So going up at the end happens a lot when you're talking to the camera, and it happens a lot when you're slating for the camera, or when you're introducing yourself. You say, hey, my name is Doug Fahl, and I am an actor, and I live in Seattle, Washington. And you know, it's like you're asking a question, or you're asking permission, or something like that. It's feeling unsure about what you're doing. So you want to say, hey, I'm Doug Fahl, and I live in Seattle, Washington, and I am running for mayor. You want to concentrate on the last word. You want to add a period on the last word. That will help keep your energy up. It will help your inflection from going up at the end, and it will also help your inflection from going down or fizzling out at the end. Also add some diction to that last word. If you pronounce the last consonant or vowel of that word, you will end properly. Another thing to concentrate on is bringing your inflection up in the middle of the line and then landing where you need to be, or bringing the inflection down and letting the energy drop, but bringing it back up at the end. You know, it's targeting the last word of the sentence that really helps with that habit. Let's see, were there any others? Pulling and tugging at your clothing. That's kind of also what to do with your arms. Some people curl their hands up when they get nervous, and so you'll see them balling their fists or just making some weird contorted hand. This happens especially like when people tap dance. I notice that their arms will just start twisting into these weird formations. And then another habit I had was pointing, always pointing at everybody when I said, hey, that person over there needs to go do this, and you need to do this. And it's this nervous habit of indicating who I'm talking about and what I'm saying. And it's fine if you're really trying to make a statement, but if it's just out of trying to be clear to the audience, there's ways you can point without using your finger. You can point with your eyes, you can point with your attitude, you can point to somebody over there by ignoring them altogether. So think about that. How can you point? How can you direct attention without using your finger? So those are the key things. Being aware, first of all, when somebody points it out, whether it's a director, another actor, a coach or teacher, take it to heart, because if somebody noticed it, it's pulling them out of your performance. It's making them aware of some flaw or some mistake that is not the character's flaw or mistake. That's the key here. It's your nervous habit, and you can break them. They are all breakable. My God, this video is much longer than I wanted it to. I got to stop this. Thank you for joining me today. Watch some of these other videos. We'll see you next time.